Good morning. I think we're on installment 5. So we're going to get back to it. Dr. Dolittle, Big Adventures, and a new day. Here we go, kiddos. Miranda, my dear, I'm so sorry this happened, said the doctor. Miranda stretched her gorgeous wings warily. There were tears in her eyes and her beak was trembling. I wouldn't have minded so much, she said in a high voice, if I hadn't been so dreadfully worn out. That and something else, she sighed. Did you have a hard trip? The doctor asked. The worst passage I ever made. The weather, don't ask. Anyhow, I'm here, she said. Tell me, said the doctor, what did Long Arrow say when you gave him my message? That's the worst part of it, Miranda said. I couldn't deliver your message or find Long Arrow. He's disappeared. Disappeared? The doctor cried in disbelief. What could have happened to him? Nobody knows, Miranda said. The Indians didn't know where he was. That's why I'm so late in coming to you. I kept hunting and hunting. Went the whole length and breadth of South America. There wasn't a living thing that could tell me where he was. A sad silence filled the room. The doctor frowned. Polynesia scratched her head. Did you ask the black parrot? She asked. Certainly, Miranda said. I was so upset at not finding any news, I forgot about observing the weather signs before I left. I ran into a wild storm in the mid-Atlantic. Luckily, I found a piece of wrecked vessel and roosted on it after the storm died down. If I hadn't taken that rest, I wouldn't have made it here. Poor Miranda, said the doctor. Do you know where Long Arrow was last seen? A young albatross said he'd seen him on Spider Monkey Island. That's somewhere off the coast of Brazil, isn't it? The doctor asked. Yes, Miranda said. I flew there and asked every bird on the whole island. Long Arrow was visiting some Indians there and was last seen going into the mountains looking for rare medicinal plants. Do you think some accident befell him? Said doctor. No, the doctor asked fearfully. I'm afraid it must have, Miranda said, shaking her head. It would be the greatest disappointment in my life if I could never meet Long Arrow, the doctor confessed. He knew more natural science than all of us put together. If he is gone without someone to write it down for him, it would be a terrible loss. But you don't really think he is dead, do you? He asked hopefully. What else can I think? Asked Miranda, bursting into tears, when he has not been seen by flesh, fish, or fowl for 6 whole months. And here is the bird. Picture time. Can you see it? That's Miranda. Everyone was sad about the news of Long Arrow, but the doctor was the most upset. He took his tea silently, staring at spots on the tablecloth, as though his thoughts were far away. I tried to cheer him by reminding him of the good he had done that day for Luke and his wife. When that didn't help, I talked about our plans for the voyage. But you see, Stubbins, said the doctor, I don't know where to go now. I planned this voyage specifically to see Long Arrow. I thought perhaps he could help me with the language of the shellfish and find a way to get to the bottom of the sea. He sat silently. Although Long Arrow and I never met, I felt I knew him well. We went back into the study where the doctor put on his robe and lit his pipe. But we'll still go on a voyage, won't we? I asked, even if you can't find Long Arrow? He looked sharply into my face, then smiled suddenly when he saw how anxious I was. Yes, Stubbins, don't worry. We can't stop working and learning. The question is, where to go? Suddenly, the doctor sat up. We'll play blind travel, he said. It's a game I used to play when I couldn't make up my mind where to go on a voyage. You open an atlas to a page, wave a pencil, and touch it down. Wherever it touches, you are sworn to go. Want to play? Oh, yes, I said excitedly. Good. Take the pencil and stand close to the table. And when the book falls open, wave the pencil around 3 times and jab it down. Now shut your eyes. It was a tense and fearful moment. We both shut our eyes tightly. I heard the book fall open. I waved the pencil 3 times in a circle and lowered my hand. The pencil touched down on the page. It's done, I said. And here's another picture for you. I hope you could see that. We opened our eyes. The atlas was open to a map called Chart of the South Atlantic Ocean. The doctor needed his glasses to read the small print where the pencil point rested. Spider Monkey Island, he read slowly. He whistled softly under his breath. How extraordinary. You've hit upon the last place Long Arrow was seen alive. Well, well. We'll go there, doctor, won't we? I asked. Of course we will. With a good boat and good wind, we could easily make it in 4 weeks. Of all the places in the world, Spider Monkey Island. At last I will be able to get some jabizri beetles. There are only 3 countries in the world where they are found, and Spider Monkey Island is one of them. What does the little question mark after the name mean? I asked. It means that the island's position in the ocean is not exactly known. We might be the first people to land there. We also might have trouble finding it, but that's what a voyage is about. Will there be natives there? I asked. The doctor nodded. Miranda tells me a peculiar tribe of Indians live there. Suddenly the sleeping bird of paradise awoke. In our excitement, we had forgotten to whisper. We're going to Spider Monkey Island, Miranda, the doctor said. You know where it is, don't you? I know where it was, she said. I don't know if it will be in the same place, though. Didn't you know that it is a floating island? It moves all over the place, usually near southern South America. I could find it for you if you want to go there. I was so excited. I bolted from the room to find Chi-Chi and share the news, and at the door I bumped into Dab-Dab and started dancing around. Where do you think you're going? Cried the duck. To Spider Monkey Island, I shouted, doing cartwheels down the hall. A floating island. And then, you guys, we hit part 3. Not that you would know the difference, but it goes into like a different idea of where the book's direction could go. So here we go. We began preparing the voyage immediately. Joe, the muscle man, had the curlew tied near the river wall to make it easier to load. We spent 3 days filling the boat with supplies. The boat had 3 little cabins, a saloon or dining room, and under all this, a hold where the food, extra cells, and other things were kept. Everyone in town must have read or heard about our voyage because there were always crowds watching as we put things on board. Matthew Mugg was among them. Where's the doctor going this time, Tommy? He asked. Spider Monkey Island, I said proudly. Are you the only one going with them? Matthew asked. He said he'd like to take another man, but hasn't made up his mind, I explained. A big man with a red beard and tattoos on his arm stopped me as I was loading. Boy, he called, where's the skipper? The skipper? Oh, you mean the doctor? He's not here yet, I said. Just then the doctor came in sight, loaded down with notebooks and butterfly nets. The man went up to him. Morning, Captain, he said. Heard you needed hands for a voyage. I'm Ben Butcher, able seaman. Very glad to know you, the doctor said, but I can't take on any more hands. Thanks anyhow. But Captain, surely you ain't going to face deep sea weather with nothing more than this bit of a lad and on a ship this big, he said. The doctor was polite but firm. Finally, the man walked away, muttering that we'd never make it alive back to land. Just as soon as the doctor went below, a distinguished-looking man, fabulously dressed, came onto the gangplank. Pardon me, he said, bowing elegantly. Is this the ship of the physician Dolittle? Yes, I said. Did you wish to see him? I did, if it is not discommodious, he answered. I am Bumpo Kabubu, Crown Prince of Jollinkiki. I ran down and told the doctor. How fortunate, he cried. My old friend Bumpo. I heard he was studying at Oxford. How good of him to call on me. And there's another picture. This is a funny book. Prince Bumpo was overjoyed to see the doctor and shook his hand warmly. News reached me of your voyage, the prince said. I am sublimely ecstasied that I did not miss you. You very nearly did. We were waiting to get another man to help sail the boat. I detect something of the finger of destination in this, Bumpo said. How would I do? Splendidly, but what about your studies, the doctor asked. I need a holiday, said Bumpo, and traveling with you would not neglect my edification. That I know. He smiled. Before I left Jolly Ginky, my august father, the king, told me to be sure and travel. Well, Bumpo, if you are sure you want to come, we'd love to have you. I think you are exactly the man we need. 2 days later, we were ready to set sail. Jip begged so hard to come that the doctor finally agreed. Polynesia and Chi-Chi were the only other animals to go with us. Dab-Dab was in charge of the house and the animal family left behind. Down at the river wall, a great crowd gathered to see us off. My mother and father were at the gangplank. I hoped they would not make a scene, but they behaved quite well, for parents. We were surprised not to see Matthew Mugg. The doctor wanted to give him instructions about food for the animals at home. At last we got the anchor up and the curlew moved gently down the river with the tide. The crowd on the wall cheered, waving handkerchiefs. It was an incredible feeling getting into the open sea as we passed the lighthouse at the mouth of the river. It was so new and different. I looked around and took a deep breath. The doctor steered the boat as it leaped and plunged gently through the waves. Bumpo was downstairs preparing dinner. Chi-Chi coiled up ropes in the stern and laid them in neat piles. My job was to fasten things down on the deck so nothing would roll about if the weather got rough. Jip was at the peak of the boat, sitting like a statue, ears cocked and nose stuck out, keeping a lookout for wrecks, sandbars, and other dangers. Everyone had a job to do. Even Polynesia took the sea's temperature to make sure there were no icebergs nearby. I realized the voyage had really begun. It would soon be my first night at sea. Just before supper, Bumpo went to the doctor at the wheel to report a stowaway in the hold. "What a nuisance," said the doctor. "Stubbins, go with Bumpo and bring the man up." Bumpo and I went into the hold, hiding behind the 4 flour bags. We found Matthew Mugg. We hauled him upstairs to the doctor. "Matthew, what on earth are you doing here?" John Dolittle said. "The temptation was too much for me, Doc. You know, I always wanted to go on a voyage, and when I heard you needed a man, I thought if I hid till the ship was at sea, you'd keep me. But this ship rolls so. How long has this storm been going on?" "Matthew, you shouldn't have come," the doctor said. "We'll stop at Penzance and put you ashore. You will take the coach from Penzance to Bristol, and then it's not far to Puddleby. Don't forget to take the usual food to the animals in the house every Thursday, and don't forget the extra herring on the minks." Chi-Chi and I set about lighting the lamps. We put a green light on the right side, a red one on the left, and a white one on the mast. We all turned at the sound of people coming up to the deck. "Bumpo, what's this?" cried John Dolittle. "2 more stowaways, sir, hiding under the bunk in your cabin. 1 woman and 1 man, sir," he said. "Who are they?" the doctor asked. "I can't see their faces in this dim light." It was Luke and his wife. Mrs. Luke was very seasick. Luke explained that after the trial, so many people had come to see them in their shack in the marsh that life had become impossible. They decided to escape from Puddleby, but had no money to go anywhere other than on the doctor's ship. Luke apologized many times for the inconvenience. The doctor said he would give them some money and a letter to a man he knew in Penzance, who he hoped would be able to find some work for Luke. Polynesia was sitting on my shoulder as we watched, muttering, "There he goes, giving away all the money we've got. What if we run out of food? Now we haven't the price of a postage stamp." With the help of a map, a compass, and the lighthouses, the doctor steered the ship into port without hitting a rock or a sandbar. He took the stowaways to shore in our small rowboat and found them rooms at the hotel. By then it was after midnight. We decided to stay in the harbor until the morning. I was glad to get to bed, rocked by the sea. I was asleep in minutes. The next morning, while eating an excellent breakfast of kidneys and bacon, the doctor asked if I thought we should stop at the Capablanca Islands or head straight to Brazil. I reminded him that Miranda said we had about 4 weeks of good weather and should probably go straight to Brazil. "She'll be looking for us and will wonder what happened if we're not there in a month," I said. "Quite true," John Dolittle said, "but the Capablanca make a convenient stopping place if we need supplies or repairs. They're about 6 days away. Well, we'll see how it goes." We left Penzance Harbor and everything went smoothly for several days. I grew fond of our funny friend Bumpo. With his grand way of speaking, someone was always falling over his huge feet. He kept everyone in good humor. On the 5th day out, Bumpo came up from the kitchen. "The salt beef is nearly all gone," he told the doctor. "But we brought 120 pounds. We couldn't have eaten that in 5 days, the doctor cried. "I don't know," Bumpo said, "but if it's rats, they are awfully fat rodents." "We must search the hold," Polynesia said. "Come with me, Tommy." We went quietly into the storeroom. Soon we heard snoring coming from the corner of the hold. "I thought so," Polynesia said. "It's a man. Haul him out. We seem to have brought all of Puddleby with us." It was Ben Butcher, able seaman. Polynesia sputtered like a firecracker. "This is the last straw," she said. "Bring him up to the doctor." We led the huge man to the wheel, where he greeted the doctor. "Another stowaway, sir," Bumpo reported. This time I thought the doctor would throw a fit. Ben Butcher, able seaman at your service, the man said to the doctor. I knew you'd need me, so I took the liberty of stowing away. I'll soon have things shipshape. I told you in Puddleby I didn't want you to come, roared the doctor. But Captain, said the able seaman, you can't sail the ship without me. Look here, said the doctor sternly, you may be the best seaman in the world, but on this ship you are a plain nuisance. I am going to put you ashore at the nearest port. Consider yourself lucky, Polynesia added, that the doctor does not have you locked up for stowing away and eating all our salt beef. I don't know what we're going to do now, I heard her whisper to Bumpo. We've no money to buy any more, and that salt beef was the most important part of the stores. I took the wheel from the doctor while he made calculations on his map. Looks like we'll have to run for Capablanca's after all. I'd sooner swim back to Puddleby than have to listen to that fellow talk all the way to Brazil. The doctor was right. Ben Butcher was a terrible person. According to him, everything we did on the ship was wrong. Ben's criticism made me nervous. Do you think we're safe without a seaman? I asked. You're always safe with John Dolittle, Polynesia said. It's true the doctor does everything wrong, but you always get there no matter what. And he always has extraordinary good luck. Besides, I have a plan. What is it? Jip asked. Is there a key in that door? She asked, pointing to the dining room door. We looked and found there was. Now Bumpo lays the table for lunch. We'll all go hide. At 12 o'clock, Bumpo rings the dinner bell. Ben will be down expecting more salt beef. Bumpo must hide behind the door outside. As soon as Ben is seated, Bumpo slams the door and locks it, and then we've got him. How stratagenious, Bumpo chuckled. I'll lay the table. And don't leave any eatables around, Polynesia added. We all went and hid ourselves where we could watch Bumpo, rang the dinner bell like mad, and hid behind the dining room door. Immediately, Ben Butcher was heard thumping down the steps. He walked into the dining saloon, sat down at the head of the table in the doctor's place, and tucked a napkin under his chin. Then, bang, Bumpo slammed the door and locked it. That settles him for a while, Polynesia laughed as she climbed on my shoulder and went on to the deck.